Welcome to Riding in the Weeds. This is a unique podcast episode where we're just going to let you listen in on the randomness of our conversations that Ginny and I have in between recording our episodes. Really, what are we doing here? Why did we start this? And just having a really quick conversation because I really love listening to the bloopers that some people put on their end of the podcast. And so we're just going to do a mini episode where you guys get to listen in on why we actually started doing this and what are our hopes, what are our dreams, and who do we want to have listening to this. So, Ginny, what you thinking?
Yeah, so I don't even remember. Is it almost a year? It's almost a year. I think actually it would be longer than a year since we started talking about this because we used to have these awesome conversations. And we were always sharing, and you were telling me about bike stuff, and I'd tell you about horse stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's the same. It's the same thing. And it was like, we should just have a podcast. So here we are.
Yeah, and we were in the conversation because we were in a business coaching group. Yeah. We were learning on how to run business and how do we grow our reach and how do we do this and that. So the conversations start off with business stuff, and then they would bleed into horse stuff, and they would bleed into bike stuff, and we'd be talking about these passions that we have. And as you say, we'd be like, oh, these things are the same. So I think our hope was that career-orientated women who find themselves pushing their limits, find themselves wanting to move through their comfort zones, and they get stuck by things like confidence, things like fear, their emotions, and that we literally sometimes find ourselves riding in the weeds. And we would talk them through, and I'd be like, yeah, well, it's like when you ride your bike, this happens. You're like, yeah, well, when you ride your horse, this happens. And that people will start to hear that when we're active orientated people, when we're into horses, when we're into riding bikes, when we're into rock climbing and doing these things physically, it really does help us become more well-rounded, and it pushes us through stuff.
Yeah, I know for me, I think one of my most favorite parts about this is that our conversations are inspiring because, of course, they do connect back to the things that I do in my business and my passions. And I feel like with you being the bike coach, and of course, I'm an adult learner for bike riding, that you've been able to help me with a lot of those things just because we have these conversations. And I think the other thing that's fun for me is being able to share these things with someone. I don't feel like I'm talking into the void. So there's a little bit of a selfish motivation. I'll be honest, like, well, if I'm talking with someone else, then I'm not crazy, right? There's a conversation that's going on. And I think that's the feel that I want for our podcast. I want people to feel like they're a part of a conversation. And it's so easy to get stuck in the weeds. And I think part of one of the resources that I found for myself is knowing that there are other people out there who are doing things, who may be struggling. It's the sense of community, right? It's the sense of having other people that you know you can rely on that go, yeah, it is like that. And here's how I've worked through it.
Absolutely. And like we try really hard with our podcast to have our what we're talking about, why we think it's important, and then how we have moved through it. So we're not just like having a conversation around like, yeah, confidence is hard. Oh yeah, it's really hard to get motivated. And then just getting stuck in the weeds about like misery loves company, but actually then bringing the ideas and the ways in which that when we're on our bikes or on our horses that we've actually worked through this, which I think also that reinforces for us that we're just talking about celebrating. And I think this is kind of part of that. Like we're celebrating that we've done this, that we know how to do this, that we got this. And so let's go out and push our limits just a little bit more. And how can we bring that energy and help other people?
Yeah. I know for me personally too, I think it's valuable when I see other people doing something I want to do, who also talk about the road that they took to get there. And so I'm happy to talk about the fact that I have had fear issues with my horse. I have struggled over the years to be able to manage going out and working with him, even on the ground, and then struggled to go ride. That as an adult bike learner, I took my pedals off my bike when I first got it. I am not afraid to say that these are all of the 10,000 baby steps that I have taken to achieve what I've achieved, because I feel like there's value in acknowledging that road. You are getting bike coaching right now. You yourself are enrolled in bike coaching right now. And I think that being able to share that part of the journey as someone who maybe other people do look up to. I'm also technically an adult learner with horses. And so before I was able to meet people and start learning, I just looked at horse people and I was like, wow, how do you even start? Like, what do you even do to start? And I feel like that part of the journey is often not talked about by other people in lots of various sports.
Yeah. And then you're successful.
Yeah. How do you get from the beginning through it? We've just finished talking about fear. As adults, it's taboo to admit you're scared of something. And so I think that probably stops a lot of adults for wanting to even try. But hey, man, I wrestle with fear all the freaking time. I know it, and I have to be very careful about my own boundaries, but I work through it and I keep trying and I keep testing things and I keep doing things. And I have people around me that support me and push me. You've done that for me on my bike. Whether you even know it or not, you were able to show me like, hey, keep going. You're good. You got this. Keep going. Like that's not going to be a problem. So that's really my hope, is that there's other people that can listen and find the inspiration and go, oh, okay, it's okay to feel that way, or it's okay to be worried, or it's okay to be nervous, or this is how you can take these steps. This is one of the ways you can do this. That's what I hope that people get out of this when we're sharing.
Yeah, I really love that. I'm self-professed our biggest fan, and I really enjoy listening to our conversations and being like, yeah, that was actually a really good point. I've noticed it's been coming up a lot lately, people posting things that are like, yeah, I'm fitting into a smaller dress size, not to gloat, but and then diminishing the achievement that they've had because they don't want to make other people feel bad. And I think so much of this getting stuck in the weeds actually comes from not managing our own emotions. So we're not managing our own feelings and thoughts. And so when we're not managing our own stuff, then we feel like we have to manage other people's stuff. Because if you saw somebody that was going to the gym and doing really well and you're not going to the gym, or you see someone who's riding their bike and they're really good at riding their bike and you're not good at riding your bike, you are feeling bad about yourself because you're not in their place. So therefore, when you get in their place, you remember that person that you used to be, and you don't want to make the old self feel bad about the new self. But that's not our responsibility. And if we don't step up and celebrate all of the lessons and all of the learning and all of the things, just because you're working out today doesn't mean you're going to be working out tomorrow. Stuff happens, and we're on this roller coaster, and we can't be holding ourselves back because we're managing other people's fear and we're managing other people's opinions. And I think the biggest part of that is that we know that when we trigger people, they're mean. And so we're so afraid that people are going to be mean that we don't step out and we don't do stuff. And so my hope with this podcast is we give people a little bit of perspective to realize that they actually get to go and be them and take every lesson and every step and every misstep and every celebration and every falling down the poop chute. It's all part of our human experience. And if you're riding a bike, and if you're working with horses, and if you have an animal or a child or a business, you are just giving yourself bigger opportunities to fall down the poop chute more often, to get stuck riding in the weeds. Those are the people I want to listen to our podcast so that they can be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. I was scared on my bike. And Tash was mentioning that I should really think about having level pedals and I need balance. I'm going to take that piece of advice and I'm going to go out and I'm going to have confidence to try.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're able to reach one person and help them find confidence to go try something, that'd be a win. That'd totally be a win in my book. I'd be thrilled to find that out. Ultimately, our conversations are as much self-serving, like you said, like we're our biggest fans here. But I also hope that I'm sharing things that I would have liked to have heard when I was back as a beginner doing other things. I would have loved to hear someone say, I was afraid. someone who I looked up to or respected or who did more than where I was, to be able to say, yeah, I was scared, or this was hard, or I struggle with my confidence, or I struggle to get motivated to go out the door. I think that's one of the goals of these conversations, is to share the stuff that no one else is really talking about. The whole internet is curated as the highlight reel of everybody else's life. And I just want to be over here like, yeah, it really sucks sometimes. It's hard.
It's good that it's hard, because then that pushes us to become more awesome. But that's actually what's happening, so that you can get that highlight reel, is you're doing this stuff on the other side. And I think we so often discount where we are in relation to where somebody else is. Like when I think about my diet, for example, and I keep being the Wall Pilates app, and it's like, today's challenge is to do 50 wall squats and not eat burger and fries today. And I'm like, there are people out there that have to like have self-control over not eating burger and fries every day. And that's just not my reality. But realizing that that's actually part of an app. But when it says don't eat chocolate today, that might be talking to me, and could be a little bit of a challenge. No sugar today, Tash. I know I can do it. But I went to a concert with a girlfriend the other day, and we were getting ready, and she said she was going to bring some stuff for me. She's like, so bring a few bras that'll work with a few different things. And I was like, Andrea, I don't actually own any bras. And she said, well, I guess don't worry about the bras. And then we're getting ready, and she's like, well, maybe I'll take a page out of your book. And she put her top on without a bra, and she's just like, can I do this? I threw all my bras out during COVID, and I wore sports bras sometime. But even that, I was finding, like, to do my 7-minute workout in the morning, having to put a bra on and it getting dirty, and then I don't have a washing machine in my camper. And so these are the little things that are stopping me from doing my workout. It's 7 minutes. It's going to strengthen my boobs. They're not really there anyway. So realizing it was a big deal for her to not wear a bra to the concert. And then afterwards, she's like, that was awesome. I don't think I'm going to take any bras with me on my trip I'm going on. There are 100 billion examples, and sorry to be maybe TMI about my bras, but it's like, we don't realize that we are doing things. And I mean, everybody, you are doing something that you think is totally common knowledge, and everyone's doing it. And you have no idea that there is somebody else that is struggling with that very thing that you've managed to make a decision about and make easy. Like, you decided to go vegan, like, and somebody else wants to go vegan, but they can't even figure out how to move past the first step. Or you fast every Monday, and somebody else is like, wow, I couldn't even imagine going 2 hours without food. You ride a bike. Well, I don't do it well. Yeah, but I'm too afraid to even go and buy a bike. Wherever you are in life, there are people behind you wondering how on earth you got there. You know, you're sitting on a lake. They're wondering how to get out of the city to get to the lake. It's phenomenal that we have no concept that everything we do, there is somebody else that is probably wondering. Back to my bra conversation, it was really quite easy. It was COVID. Didn't really go out anyway. And then I moved to Mexico. And well, I mean, like, why would you wear a bra in Mexico? That's kind of silly. And then I came back last summer, and I found myself like hunching over. And I found I had this lack of confidence. And I was like, what is going on here? And I was like, oh, I'm so scared. People are going to judge me because I've got my nipples showing or whatever it is. And I had to have a conversation with myself and be like, well, you're either going to go to the bra shop and buy some bras, or you've got to own it. And you got to be the girl who doesn't wear a bra. And now it's not a thing for me. Like, it's not a thing for anybody else. And, you know, my girlfriend's like, yeah, but, you know, like, guys might look at you differently. I'm like, honestly, I'd be oblivious to it anyway. And I don't put myself into situations where it's actually going to cause a problem. So it's only a problem if I think it's a problem. If I'm walking around like, oh, don't look at me. Oh, you know, someone's going to think badly, then probably people will. And if I'm like, I'm good with this, I don't really care if you're not, then it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah. Totally. I think that's what I like most too about our podcast, is that I'm not the best writer in the world, but I have a lot of unique experiences that allow me to share information. And I'm definitely not the best biker in the world, but yet again, I can share a unique perspective. And I know there are people who, like you said, may not even be able to get over the fear to go buy a bike. So that's where I hope to share is I am well aware that I'm in the middle of a journey that's a spectrum, and there are a lot of people ahead of me and a lot of people behind me. And it's my hope that I can just inspire somebody along the way to do something that they haven't done before.
Yeah. And everything we talk about, biking, horse riding, all of these things, 100%, there is no destination. You are just on a journey.
On a journey.
Yeah. And then when we move cycles and you move in motivation and just all of the little pieces that come in, it's part of the journey. And sometimes you get stuck riding in the weeds. And we had no idea what to call this podcast. We're like, let's get riding in the weeds. It's kind of funny. People might think we're talking about weeds. You might think we're talking about riding. That might be motorcycles. Who knows?
I mean, honestly, we don't even know what we're going to talk about most days when we get on the phone together on Zoom. We're like, I don't know what we should talk about this week. But yeah, I think that's how our relationship was. It was like we were both sharing things. It was like, well, hey, have you tried this? Or what about this? Or this is what I do in this situation. And we were just kind of continually helping each other out of the weeds. And so I don't even remember exactly how we came up with the title either, but it just fit because it's like, that's life. You just keep riding into the weeds and then having to get yourself back out again. And it doesn't matter whether you've got a sport, whether you ride bikes or horses or nothing at all, or don't even have a sport, but that's life. That's just how life rolls. And all of these things that we talk about, they apply to our sports and apply to our passions, but yet they just apply to life. It's just life.
Yep. It is just life. And I am really just a bike coach and managing a business, and I spend a lot of time in the weeds, and I spend a lot of time purely smack dab in the middle of the trail. And there's a lot of fun to be had when you start pushing those limits. When you bring it back to biking, it's like I dropped in on the bike race I did a few weeks ago, and I was pushing myself hard, and I totally rode into the weeds, and I was like, oh, shoot, rode back out of them.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been pushing myself, I wouldn't have gotten off the trail. Right. But then I had to ride twice as hard to try and keep my time. And I could have gone like a little bit gentler and maybe got the same time if I hadn't spent 10 seconds trying to pull my bike out of the freaking trees. But that's life. And it's not fun if you don't push it hard enough that these things happen. And it's not all fun being in the weeds, but it's so fun when you come out the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same with riding the horses. My biggest focus with them is working on their balance and their coordination so that they're moving well in a healthy way that makes them feel good. And that process of gaining balance, they wobble just like we do. And every now and then I'm aiming over there and we're like going this way. And we laugh whenever I'm with my trainer because you just laugh because you can feel them struggling and working on it too. And then we regain coordination and keep going again. And that is just how the journey of life goes. You're always trying to recalibrate and reset. We talked about balance weeks and weeks ago. It's a dynamic thing. You're always working on resetting to that place.
Absolutely. Complete side note. I saw something so funny on Instagram the other day. It was people doing a horse show, but they had like just a stick with a horse head. And then
hobby horses, right? Little kids, hobby horses. Yeah. Yeah.
This thing ever. I thought it was awesome. I'm like, is this a thing? Like, is this a thing people do? They do shows with hobby horses.
I mean, probably. You can find just about every crazy thing ever, but yeah, I mean, you even talk about getting off and walking. So,
I spend a lot of time bike coaching where I'm like, right, everyone put your bikes down. We're going to pretend to ride our bikes over this thing. I'm like, maybe there's a sport there where you just pretend to ride a bike. You don't actually ride. Just hold your head. Go up and down things. I think that this has been awesome. I hope other people really enjoy just stepping into our conversation. I'm Natasha Lockie. I am a bike coach. I run the Instagram at Betty Go Hard, and I'm just all about giving women the tools so they can ride more things with more confidence and have more fun on their bikes and in life. So join me over at Betty Go Hard for more. And what about you, Jenny?
Yeah, I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. And I help connect you and your pet on a deeper level so that you can work through behavior challenges, energetic, emotional, and health issues and get back to having harmony with your pet. You can find me on the web at soulpetconnections.com and also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the same handle. So thank you so much for going along with us on this ride through the weeds. We hope that you have enjoyed it, and we would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can find us on YouTube as well as all the major podcast platforms. Let us know if you have any topics you'd like us to ride through the weeds in the future. We would love to hear from you. So join us next time. We look forward to seeing you.
Have a great day.